Since going back to actors, and so many of us have been groomed all our lives to please people and be sort of the characters that we see people kind of want us to be, maybe intuitively we pick up that people want us to be that way. What advice would you give to an actor who's about to go in front of a director?
I always have the feeling when I'm sitting in casting sessions and we're seeing 200 people a day for the same role, and everyone is trying to do exact justice to what's on the page, because exactly what you're saying there, they think they have figured out what the director wants and then they try to give it to them. You see 198 people that are doing it the same way. They're doing the exclamation mark where the exclamation mark is on the page. They're doing the pause where it says pause on the page. And then that one person comes in who doesn't care, and who suddenly puts a pause where I've never heard it before, and who suddenly changes his rhythm or changes the speed or whispers a line that I've never heard whispered before. Doesn't mean that that's how I had it in my head before, but I'm suddenly waking up. I'm suddenly like, wait a minute. So it's suddenly 198 people against that one guy. So it's like a 50-50 chance. So that guy suddenly has a 50% chance of making it into the next round, whereas all these other 198 are sharing their 50%. They're just getting lost, you know. So if I were an actor, I would just take that risk every single time and think, I understand what that director wants, and I know that everyone else is trying to give him that. Let us do some variation on that, some spin on that that's gonna inspire him. Doesn't have to be right at all, because we're going to do the second run through anyway with a completely different adjustment, just to see how much an actor can adjust to stuff. Even if someone comes in who is exactly what I had in my mind, for the second take I'll completely change it up and say do it as a 4-year-old, just to see if that actually changes. Because if it doesn't change, that just means that actor got lucky with the first take, and he's not always going to get lucky, and if I can't adjust him on set, then I'm screwed. And so that would be my advice to actors. Just do something that will make the people in the room wake up and remember you. And not necessarily before the scene starts, because there are some people that bring in props or come in costumes, which I always think is kind of a desperate thing. I'm always like, oh, that doesn't start well. And then they kind of have to make up for it.
If you see an actor on set that's too much in their head, how do you steer them in another direction? You said maybe try it as a 4-year-old, that there's some more. But what's the way to do it, especially if it's a tense situation and you're under a time constraint?
I think you have to, one trick that always worked was to say, we got it, that was a brilliant take, let's just do one for safety. Or giving the cinematographer, my cinematographer is Hungarian and he speaks German, so we could always speak German on set without anyone else noticing. And I could give him a sign that he would say, can we do one for technical terms? And suddenly the actor would relax, because they're like, oh, we hit it and it's great and we got a take. Now let's just do one, just for safety. And we actually don't have it yet, but the actor doesn't know that. And then it suddenly works. I think it's all about that stress and that pressure. And for overacting, Mally Finn always had this trick when someone was overacting with their voice, that she would say, what's your address? And people would tell her their address, and then she would be like, that voice, because she called it the address voice, And it's true that if someone just saying their address, there is no acting, there is no character they're putting on, they are just talking in their natural voice. And suddenly people would talk an octave lower or higher or whatever, adjust to their normal voice. So there are tricks like that. And then there are just games where you just kind of take a break and do some improv, depending on whether the actor likes that or not. It's kind of interesting because different actors work so differently, and if you match them and work with them, you kind of have to figure out how each actor works. Some people hate improv, and that doesn't relax them at all, but it kind of takes them out of it, and their concentration is gone. And other actors suddenly discover things in the scene that they never knew before. So it's going to take a couple of days, I think, until you figure out how everyone wants to work, and then how you make them work together with their different techniques. But that's somehow the fun part, I think, because it's all about, I was always trying to make it more about the group and that what they could give to each other than to what I could give to the single actors, because they're going to be the ones that are playing together in the scene. They're going to relate to each other. It doesn't matter how strong the bond is that I have with the actor. Once they go into the scene, that's almost a bad thing. I need them to bond with their fellow actors. So there are tricks to make that happen. Just have them spend time together. For example, for my second film, I had the actors that were supposed to be a family spend a day together in the park and play games and share secrets. And I had these little index cards with tasks that they had to do. Tell the other person a really embarrassing secret that I will never know as director, and it's important that I don't. It's important that they have the feeling they have a stronger bond than I have with them. And especially if in the movie they're supposed to have a backstory. I think again that's something that you can either try to act, and you're always running the risk that it will look acted, or you can try to create that. Create memories. If it's just one weekend ago, that's fine, but it'll still translate as these people have a connection. They haven't just met that morning on set and now they're pretending to be husband and wife.